Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. Get some weed and now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the Penny Bloom Podcast. 'Tis I, Colton Robertson, and today I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
What's up, what up? It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you, especially today. For the last time, we are covering a new comic book movie on the main show. Black Panther Wakanda Forever released this weekend. We both saw it. We both enjoyed it. It's time we talk about it. And I say that because our comic book movie project is coming up. We're doing every single comic book movie, DC and Marvel wise, since Batman 66. And we're doing them in order of chronological release. And, you know, any new comic book movies that come out after this one, they're just going to have to wait until they come up in the project. We will talk about them just on patreon.com/CoroBloom. So this is the last time. This is the last time for a while that you get a new comic book movie on the main show.
Yeah, this episode would be scheduled to release in about July of 2025 for
big plans, guys.
Sake. Yeah, so quite a while. A lot of time there.
Long ways down the road, Black Panther Wakanda Forever will be in the project. And that's why it's important we talk about it now, you know? We get the fresh off of it discussion, and we'll get the one where it's been out for 3 years and be like, all right, how are we feeling about it 3 years later? So
that's crazy to say.
Yeah. Yes,
we'll see how we feel about it 3 years down the line.
We're gonna start spoiler free. Try to keep it vague for as long as possible. Whenever we do start to dig into spoilers, we'll warn you. We'll let you get the fuck out of here. But yeah, we're talking Wakanda Forever. Man, this was a good movie. I had a shitty theater experience. It really hindered my first viewing of it. Like, I came out of that theater and I was not completely satisfied. I won't lie. I was like, man, I don't think that movie was everything I wanted it to be or expected it to be. And then I've sat with it for what is 2 days now. And I look back on the movie itself and I keep thinking, I can't really tell you a thing I didn't like about the movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's doing this opposite thing that like Thor: Love and Thunder did for me. Or I came out that theater and I was like, yeah, I really liked that. And like a couple days later, I was like, it was solid. It was all right. It was pretty good. It's doing the opposite. It's climbing for me. It's climbing for me. It's doing really well.
That is a good difference between like Thor and this. Is Thor felt more of like an immediate enjoyment movie. If I need immediate enjoyment, like, sure, I can watch Thor, have a fun time. It's gonna be fun.
Right.
But a movie that's like just good and that will be emotionally good forever, or for a lot longer than Thor: Love and Thunder can be good for, I'd say.
Yeah,
this movie was made. Yeah, it was made for different reasons.
And it came through. You know, one of the. Yeah, I did cry a couple of times. It didn't keep me crying the way I thought it would, and that I do partially owe that to my theater experience. But and I'll get more into that with the spoiler territory, because like some of the moments where I was most disturbed were some of the most emotional moments of the movie.
Eesh. Man,
yeah, it was just like, God, this kid couldn't have had worse timing. For the like, I'll explain. I I had a child who was roughly 3 or 4 years old sitting in the row in front of me, and this child's parents definitely wanted to be there, and I support. Like I was like, fuck yeah, I fuck with the fact that you want to see this movie. I went to a 9:30 a.m. showing. It's the morning. It's the buttfuck morning. This kid woke up and came to the movie theater. She didn't want to be there. She didn't want to be there. And she made it our
9:30.
problem.
9:30, and they
Yeah.
brought a kid.
Yes.
Wow, that's even worse than like at night. I don't know. Like at night, maybe you can't find a sitter, or you can't, something. Just wow, like, jeez,
Yeah,
that's
I was
even
just like,
worse.
man. Well, and like I was like, I have no beef. I think it's important.
Mhm.
Like she was a little girl. I think it's like this was specifically a good movie. I think for young girls to see. But the young girl has to want to see it. This young girl didn't pay attention to this shit one lick of a bit. So like I was
And
like, all right,
I
so
will
I'm
say
in.
though, I mean,
Yeah.
even though I had I had no problem with my theater experience. There might have been one conversation that happened a little bit too long during one part of the movie. Like that was like it. Like maybe some people started talking a little bit too much during one part, but like never during a super crucial part or anything like that. But like as far as the emotional part went, I thought I was gonna cry way more going into this movie. Not to
Yeah.
say that it's not. The movie's definitely emotional. Like you will get emotional no matter what. I feel. Hopefully you do. Um,
Yeah, and I mean, if you don't, I mean, like, you're just one of those people who can't cry.
mm,
Like that's the thing. Like there are parts of this movie that are emotionally riveting. It by all accounts should make you cry at certain points.
mm,
And if you don't, I think it's just a personal thing. It's nothing against the movie necessarily, but yeah, it was a damn good movie.
mm.
It was emotionally riveting. The way Letitia Wright stepped into the role of Shuri and elevated her role from the first one was nuts.
Oh yeah.
Like the first one, she's solid, she's fun, she's a cool character, but she's obviously not the main character, and I'd argue she's probably not even second or third on the bill in
No.
the first movie. You know what I'm saying? Like to elevate to the lead actress in the movie in the sequel, she absolutely bodied it. She put on an incredible performance. Angela
Mm.
Bassett as Ramonda with just another. She doesn't miss. She's Angela Bassett. I mean, but this was just a special kind of performance from her. And
Yeah, that's definitely something that's not lacking in the movie is the performances. I can't really think of any one person where I was like, man, they could have, I guess, done a little better than they
no,
did.
yeah, this shit was crazy. This shit was like the performances across the board. Like this is and that's what's been awesome to me is like the further removed from it, the more I'm like, oh, this really might be an all-time great Marvel movie.
Mm.
You
I
know, like
was right out of it. I thought, okay, top 10 Marvel movie immediately was my gut.
Mm.
And then I looked at the tier list, which we'll probably get to later, and I was like, okay, it could be. It is either in there or on the border, I feel. Is kind of where it is. There's not much wiggle room. It's either 10 or near it somewhere is where I'm kind of feeling now.
so you're leaning
Um,
fuck yes.
yeah. If a gut, yeah. I mean, okay.
Well, because I'm gonna tell you something, and I'll get more into this later. I came straight out of the movie. I sent you like my MCU letterbox rating thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was at 7.
Mm-hmm.
That's changed.
Okay.
I won't elaborate on
Mm.
how it changed.
Ooh.
But it has changed. It's already moved for me, and it's like I keep thinking about the way this movie looked. Ryan Coogler directed his fucking ass off here. Like it was a very, very good looking film. My like one gripe is that, you know, in the first movie, the score was ever present, and I love Ludwig Göransson's score for Wakanda and the Black Panther. He does great. He doesn't miss. And I was disappointed with that first one because they didn't use songs from the Black Panther inspired album enough. Annoyed with this movie because they used the Black Panther album, the music inspired by the album or by the movie, too much. I feel like they should have gone with Ludwig Göransson's score in more moments than they did.
It was kind of lacking, yeah. The classic drums or man, yeah, I don't know. Now that you say that
there was a part at the beginning of the movie though where you see them flying into Wakanda, and you know you got the classic like just nothing but this choral voice coming through the hey, hi oh. I can't do it good because I'm not a singer and white. But that's like that shit, I was like, fuck yes, we're back in the thick of it. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't until like I don't know. I was my theater experience did affect me. Like there's just no fucking doubt because like I came out of that movie low key disappointed. And even so, I went straight to like my 2022 movie ranking thing, top 5. Went to the MCU ranking, it was 7th, and I was like, okay, well clearly I wasn't that disappointed with the movie. What the fuck was I thinking? Like my gut,
yeah.
I mean,
I can definitely say without a doubt that it is the best Marvel movie to come out this year. That's for sure. It's the best Marvel movie post. Ooh, that's a good question. Post Endgame.
Phase 4.
Shang-Chi. Okay, it's definitely better than Thor: Love and Thunder. Let's just go backwards. It's better than Thor: Love and Thunder. It's better than Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
It's better than Doctor Strange.
No,
it's better made than No Way Home.
Yeah, and I'd argue story-wise, it's better than.
Yeah, it's better. It's just the hype of No Way Home was just so hype. It's better.
Yeah, the places where I was getting hung up is I think story-wise it's better than Eternals, but visually I think Eternals is one of the most stunning movies.
Eternals is just aging like fine, and I love it because I remember coming out of that movie being so confused as to why anyone hated it. I was like, oh my god, this was like one of the cool. This was all brand new stuff, completely new, and I'm like, I love this stuff. That's tough to say if this movie is better than that or not. I don't know if I can comfortably say it's better than Eternals yet. Shang-Chi, it's closer to Shang-Chi than it is Eternals, and Shang-Chi's good.
Got you. Yeah, see, I did a Phase 4 ranking on my Letterboxd, and what I've had at the top of it for enjoyment since forever is WandaVision. That's been my top one Phase 4 thing.
Okay,
there's no doubt. It's not anymore.
What really?
Yes, yeah. Wakanda Forever.
That makes enjoyment-wise.
Enjoyment-wise, yeah. I don't. When it comes to the Letterboxd shit, I'm not gonna do critical rankings and stuff. I'm here to list my favorite shits. And I think, another thing that's really affected that is that I've been reading just a ton of Black Panther. Ever since I started reading comics, I consistently come back to Black Panther. He's T'Challa is my most read character. I've read more T'Challa books, Black Panther books than I have anything else. And the way this book pays homage to comic book elements, and it's really rewarding if you've read a lot of Black Panther comics. And one of the things that made me one of the things I thought about was the reason I come back to Black Panther comics a lot is not just because I love T'Challa's Black Panther. I absolutely do. He has far and away the most compelling slate of side characters. Like, think about this movie. This movie is Shuri, Okoye, Ramonda, Nakia, you couldn't pull a sequel off to the first one without like Steve Rogers, I guess, is the second best example because you got Falcon and the Winter Soldier and you got that sort of thing. But even then, I don't like I don't know. I don't think you have a slate of characters around a character like you do in Black Panther. And I think part of that is because
a whole country around him.
Exactly.
Like a whole hidden country. Civilization.
A whole fucking history around him. And it's
honestly, it's what makes this movie way cool. Like, even cooler is we get another, like, completely. Is that spoiler? I mean, it's in the trailer.
No, it's in the trailer.
Okay.
We haven't even talked on it yet. Tenoch Huerta as Namor.
Whoa, dude.
Ooh, that people weren't lying about this man being one of the best MCU villains of all time. Like, this is.
Hoping he's sticking around because his performance was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I don't know why I was just like, okay, he's the villain. I kind of just put him off to the side because I'm like, Black Panther. I'm way more focused on the good side here.
But they make you focus on Namor. Like, they spend a lot of time with him.
He did really well, and he's super cool. He's way cooler than I thought he ever could be. And like
that's a character I want to see more of, like bad.
Ooh.
Like, when it came to like Phase 4 villains or 2022 comic book villains, even people have been asking who's the best 2022 comic book villain, and they're listing, Riddler from the Batman, Scarlet Witch and Multiverse of Madness, Gore the God Butcher and Thor: Love and Thunder, and this one, Namor in Wakanda Forever. And I have no doubts it's Namor in Wakanda Forever. I think the Riddler is the only one that gives him a run for his money. But even then, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about Riddler the way I do Namor. When I came out of the Batman, I thought the Riddler was the weakest link in the movie. I come out of Wakanda Forever, one of the strongest aspects of the movie was Namor.
I'd say to give Thor anything is Gore. That would be like kind of the coolest thing I think that we got out of Thor: Love and Thunder is Gore. But no, Namor is still, like, Gore doesn't touch Namor, really. I come out like, I want to see more of Namor. I want him I hope he comes up and just, I don't know, in what way, I want to see more of him. Gore, I was like, okay, I got a really nice, complete story with him. It was beautiful. Christian Bale did a fantastic job. I was content. I'm like, all right, we'll move on. But here, I'm like, no, give me more Namor.
Keep Tenoch Huerta around, bro, because this was fucking fantastic. Like, and the visuals they used when we were in Talocan, the whole civilization they built out there is fucking beautiful. Just fucking gorgeous, dude. And we got a lot of predictions right about this movie, and we'll save that more for the spoiler stuff. But hey, something with that civilization, you were on the fucking nose about, buddy.
I was like, wouldn't this be cool?
Yeah. And we're just, look at that.
Okay. So, I mean, honestly, that's kind of why I think the movie works so well is that it's not trying to twist your brain and mind blow you, and it's not trying to put in some huge MCU ramification or anything like that. It's not anything huge.
Super contained story, man.
And it just works. Like, you can we kind of knew everything that would happen coming into this movie. Like, there wasn't really anything that super surprised me other than some obvious twists in the movie that we could have not foreseen, really. But, like, pretty much everything was not that hard or was pretty predictable. But I'm not saying that as a bad thing. Like,
no, like there's only so many ways you can go with this story in a fulfilling way. If they would have tried to mind blow us, like one thing I'm very, very satisfied with, and I will spoil this, is that they did not do the Talocan figured out how to resurrect Killmonger because he was buried at sea. Like, I'm very, very satisfied that they did not do that, even though that was a popular theory. A lot of people thought that. And, going into the movie, it's like, oh yeah, that's fun, that's exciting. Within the context of the movie, though, so like after seeing it, it's like, oh fuck yeah, thank God they did not do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's getting hard not to spoil anything
No, yeah, it is. I
necessarily.
will do. I'll give one last little thought, spoiler free. I think that it's a movie I'm in dire need of a second viewing of. Like I need to get back to the theater and see it a second time. And one thing that was hard about it was that like I had a real rough time there for a little bit watching a Black Panther movie without T'Challa, without Chadwick Boseman. But like most of the time, I was like, this feels weird. It feels a little off. Not wrong, it didn't feel wrong because they were doing such a good job at paying homage to who Chadwick was and what his character represented and how important he was, but it was awkward. So I think this is one that will be rewarding on a second viewing if you're having those sorts of problems where you're like, man, I don't know, it's just doesn't feel completely right. It will by the end feel like they did a good job, like they did everything they needed to. And
it's kind of tough because I mean they were kind of locked in, like they couldn't really do much else. And I'm like, one worry I had before the movie was how they were going to handle his death, and like inside of the movie itself. And I can say that I'm glad that it was just kind of not much time was spent on it. It was just over and done with. They handled it pretty well. I think as good as they could have.
I think so too. They
and
were faced with an impossible decision there. One thing I'm also thankful for now that I've seen the movie, I was back and forth for months, like a year and some change, 2 years almost since Chadwick's death, about the recasting of T'Challa. I'm so thankful after watching this movie that they didn't do that.
I think it would have been even weirder. Like it would have been way weirder.
It would not have been right.
There's no way that and no matter who they choose, there's no way you don't see Chadwick. Like there's just absolutely no way.
They did the right thing. They absolutely did the right thing. I thought like the only argument that ever made sense to me on the contrary was T'Challa's too important of a character to let fall to the wayside, and but that's what's awesome is now we're introducing Shuri and Okoye and Nakia and Ramonda, and all those characters are important. Like they're all that important. You know what I'm saying? Like they're making Wakanda at large that important, and I think that's awesome. That's awesome.
I guess the only thing that kind of I think they could have handled a little better was like if they just showed that he did a little more before he went, like as Black Panther, like he did, like it would have been cool to see like, oh, look what he did for this month, whatever. He went down to XX and helped this many people, and like it would have been pretty cool to like see something like that, because like we get a little taste of that in What If, where he's going around the entire universe, just going around saving people and stuff like that. And it would have been awesome to like, I guess we love Black Panther and we love Chadwick as the Black Panther just because of how well he did in the movies that he got. But like as the character of Black Panther, like inside the MCU, I guess it would have been cool if inside the MCU they viewed him the same. But I guess they could. I guess like he really was the one to open it up to the world, though. So I guess that's something that no Black Panther did before him. So I guess it's like he does really have something.
Oh, that's what was cool is I rewatched the first one obviously before I went into this one, and one thing I was remembering was, in this universe, obviously in their history books, there'll be like and the Infinity War against Thanos, and these are all the heroes who fought there. But like in a political history, T'Challa will be a part of their of world history because he opened the world to Wakanda.
That's true.
Like
Yeah.
that's just a different level. Like it's a different level of impact compared to a lot of characters as far as actual historical significance is concerned.
And like 80% of the Infinity War Endgame or the Endgame army was Wakandan. Like
Oh yeah,
on the
and in
real like
Infinity War, it was held like the battle was at Wakanda. They needed it to be. At
So
Wakanda.
on both movies, actually, it's like I don't know. The Avengers didn't really have an army without like if they didn't have Wakanda, like they couldn't really have done much against Thanos' just endless.
And I loved the way this movie handled looking back on the events of Black Panther and looking back on the events of Infinity War. Sort of reckoning with them in a new context, given that the character T'Challa has passed, and like the way Ramonda and Shuri reckon with that in their different ways. But so we're gonna get into spoilers here. Last thoughts. It was a very good movie. Can't recommend you go see it enough. It's well worth it. It's already made. It made $330 million worldwide box office opening weekend. Black Adam, been out for 3 weeks, has made $330 million worldwide.
That's just the strength of Marvel, man.
Yeah,
that's
insane.
It's just
crazy. It's a different level. It's the best opening weekend in the history of Novembers. It's never been a better opening in November ever. So like it's an all timer right there.
I think DC is winning right now, though. I haven't even seen Black Adam, but from like Peacemaker or maybe like I don't know,
the Suicide Squad,
the quality that like DC releases is just I don't know. It's not formulaic.
Yeah, the universe might be all over the place, but it's the ability they give creatives to do their own fucking thing, which I do think Marvel is starting to walk that path a little bit more on the movie side, given Eternals with Chloe Zhao and then Sam Raimi on Multiverse of Madness.
I guess Shang-Chi still followed the formula a little bit, but
it did break it a little bit. It was refreshing. It was refreshing within that formula. Whereas I think Chloe Zhao on Eternals, Sam Raimi on Multiverse of Madness, and now Ryan Coogler on Wakanda Forever, they've had a chance to kind of make the movie they probably wanted to make. And I know that this movie specifically probably gave them a few limitations as far as where they could take it, but they still reckoned with everything so well. And I think, but you're right. I mean, Peacemaker, the Batman, the Suicide Squad. It's just they've been on a roll lately over there. I've really enjoyed their stuff on DC's side, so there's no doubt about it. But
all right, is it time?
Spoilers? Yeah. So if you haven't seen the movie, get the fuck out of here. That's it. Unless you don't care about getting it spoiled, then sure, hang out. But I plan on not just talking about events that happen in the movie, but the emotional payoffs of the movie. It's going to be an actual discussion about it. So, deuces, get the fuck out of here. Bye. All right, spoilers.
Just off rip, want to say I cried immediately in the opening freaking credits when it was just all Chadwick and showing his moments like in the Marvel letters. So quiet. And I literally said like on the podcast, I was like, I hope we get something just super sad off rip to kind of set a control for the theater. And it kind of did. It got everyone like, cause my theater, everyone was, I mean, I'm in Rolla. The theater was full of just Rolla students, nerds, all just Marvel nerds. You could just tell everything.
Right.
And everyone's talking before the movie. You hear, in some of the trailers, it's
Quantumania.
Oh my God, what's the actor? Jonathan Weathers? That doesn't seem right. Fuck. Who's
no, it's not.
No, not at all.
Majors.
Majors. Is that who's playing Kang?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he was in a trailer and they're like, people are like, oh, that's Kang the Con. You just hear all the talk and it was like very loud at the beginning of the movie. But then whenever that played, like people just instantly quieted down.
That there was a cold open. This was one of the things that made my theater experience kind of shitty. Is when I got there, all the lights were on. Not just the lights on like the side, but I'm talking about the overhead, like the the lights you would have in a fucking school building. Those
Yeah.
types of shits. And I thought, like, I've never been to a movie at 9:30 a.m. Maybe it's just like there'll be younger people here. Like, let's get everybody to their seats. Let's get them comfortable. And I thought for sure, like, whenever the like AMC Nicole Kidman thing came on, we come to this place for magic. Like, I thought for sure the lights would go down. They didn't. So, and nobody was taking matters into their own hands and going to tell anybody. So I did.
Damn.
I was like, I can't.
You were the trooper.
I would rather miss the first minute of the movie.
No.
And I did not miss it. I did not miss it. I got up
good.
I got up as soon as the AMC thing came on and the lights did not go down. I walked out there. We were pretty far away from the front. So I was like, hey, lights are on in theater 2. Help us out here. Like, the movie's about to start. And they were like, oh shit, so sorry. They were surprised. But I make it back to the theater and it's Shuri working her ass off to figure something out. So I didn't miss much, I don't think.
No. That's
but
first,
still,
it's uncut.
Even when I made it back before the people who managed to turn off the lights turned off the lights. So like, I still got the first couple minutes, like first minute in full fucking brightness in the theater without the darks being dark, the lights being light.
If you got Shuri working in the lab, that is like literally the first scene, and it's uncut. It's a oneer that lasts like a minute and a half.
Yeah, the way she was hustling around the lab trying to figure out a way to replicate the heart-shaped herb, the way they're talking about T'Challa's heart rate and how it's going down and stuff, like it was like, ooh, no music. Everyone in the theater was just straight up silent. It was like, man. And then when Ramonda walks in and is like, your brother's gone. It was like, oh man. And I do appreciate that they never specified an illness. They were just like, it's a mysterious illness that took him. I think that was a good way to go about it. I do. But I'm also glad that that's how they went about it, that it wasn't illness, because
not in some battle or some fight. Yeah, it's just that way they handled it. Definitely I guess I don't really know how else they could, like, I don't even want to think of any other way, because I think this is just the only way to really go about it.
They could have handled it. I have no doubts about that, but it was that moment's what sets the tone for the entire journey Shuri goes through, because she feels responsible. Yep. Throughout the movie, the anger she feels and the anger she harnesses is because she didn't do enough. She couldn't do enough. She failed in her mind, and there was just nothing she could do about it. She didn't get the tools to actually be able to create it until she found Talocan. Like, it's weren't going to be able to figure it out without that extra little bit of vibranium. But
that if I could find one gripe of the movie, literally was just how kind of lit the fire already was in Shuri early on. Kind of was the only thing. I think they just went about it a little too quickly. And I get it, like, she's very upset and she does feel very guilty over Chadwick's death, even though it's not her fault. And yes, like, her saying, like, whenever she was like, whenever I think about it, if I think about it for too long, I just want to burn everything. Like, I don't know. It was just kind of like, could have hinted at some anger without jumping immediately to world annihilation, and then maybe Killmonger and Namor got her there a little. Like, I don't know.
I think because we're in the Marvel universe, a threat to burn the world might be taken a little too seriously.
But it wasn't, she said it and then she kind of like doubled down on it. It was kind of like, at first it was up in the air, kind of vague, but then it was like, no, like, I would legitimately, like, do this. And I don't know, it kind of, I don't know, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong, I guess maybe if I watch again, I'll see it in a different light, but like, I'll first watch, I remember just being like, that was kind of just a little, I don't know.
No, the way that I took it, I thought, it was intense, and it's very, very bold to take the story that way, but I think we're just dealing with a sister who lost her older brother, who taught her everything she knew. and I think it's kind of a general, the world is unfair, it's unjust.
And
I'd tear this whole thing down sooner. You know, like so like I took it more as just a general, like, I can't fuck with anything right now. Like, that's how deeply sad I am. Like, it makes me mad, it makes me sad, it makes me all of the emotions, everything but happy. And I think that yeah, I don't know that Shuri would actually, you know, because there's that moment later.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, but
kinda like Namor gave, like, I guess she was thinking as a ruler of Wakanda, really. She was like, for the safety of my people, maybe this is the decision I make. Also, I am kind of still sad and I do want to see, you know, burn. You know, it maybe a little bit of that, but like, she never was going to go through with it. I don't think it was never something, never something that she was ever
because I really do think no matter how sad she got, I think as soon as like that opportunity was presented to her by Namor, she was like, oh, T'Challa would not want this.
I mean, literally, in the last moment, she has like, she could kill Namor
right there.
Yeah, no problem. She did have the opportunity. She could have killed Namor and probably taken over Atlantis. Or I keep calling it Atlantis, but it's not. Yeah, Talocan. In DC, do they just call it Atlantis straight up?
Atlantis. Yeah, it's Atlantis.
Damn, that just sucks. It would be nice if they could have just had Atlantis.
Well, yeah, but I think they did.
I guess Atlantis isn't just that's just more of a mythology thing, I guess.
Yeah, like this way they kind of took it in a very specifically Mesoamerican.
But it's kind of something that's like a side part of the movie that's just really cool is like Marvel is using a lot of like superhero and things to explain like
history.
Like history and like weird events, like DB Cooper and Loki, and like the sirens, like getting people to jump off, like how that's like a real thing in the real world, but people don't know how the fuck it happens. Or like the Bermuda Triangle is probably due to these people too. Now that you think about it, like they're taking down ships, and the Wakandan ship, like being the UFOs that people would definitely see, and like the tractor beam lifting things up, like being held, like I don't know. It's just like it seems that it seems intentional. Like it seems that like they're doing it intentionally, and I don't know. It's just
they're also
cool.
doing something very cool. Where not only are these super moments things that caused these strange things throughout history, but the way they have the terrible things that have happened throughout history affect the super able. The way that they did with Namor here, the child without love. More.
That's pretty sick. Yeah, that was sick.
It was a fucking genius way to take that, and they did that incredibly well. And that's one of the best things about this movie is that again we have a villain who is, or an antagonist who's trying to protect his people. You know, like doesn't matter what anything else happens. It's like as long as my people are safe, we're chilling. Like that's my goal. And I think that there was a tweet, you know, automatically everyone's comparing Killmonger and Namor, like, who do you like more? And I have no doubts. This is crazy because Killmonger is one of the best villains the MCU's ever provided. But Namor, they elevated on it with Namor. The performance was better, the writing was better, the way they paralleled Shuri and his journey as to how they got to this point, and the way that in that final moment where Shuri has that opportunity and then offers to extend his hand and is like, let's go, let's, you know, join me, we can get out of here together, I'll protect you if you just yield now. And the way they go through all those thoughts of what happened to her, what happened to him, and how they all kind of paralleled each other, I was like, okay, this is they did this quite effectively. Like that was so damn good. And
yeah, he was badass too. Like the line that he had of like that I have more soldiers than you have blades of grass. Like don't mess with us. Like you think you're strong, you know. Like do you think that's true as well? Like do you think that's like, or do you think he was just because that's the thing, he still had the secrecy completely on his side. They don't know. He could say whatever. They could not have an army. They could have been so peaceful that they don't even have a standing army.
I think it's interesting. I thought
well, I guess we do see their army a
he's
little
got
bit.
a pretty fucking massive army. Like, even when people are falling, they're like, all right, get us another whale. Pull up.
And they can just die and come back to life. So that is whenever they got the fight on the street and freaking Okoye goes off and kills 3 of them and then like has the fight with the bigger dude. And like then they just get up, heal, jump back in the water. I'm like, oh fuck, Killmonger's alive and he's a fucking he's down there. They he's already like that. That's just what it is. And I was like so glad that didn't happen. But like I'm surprised they didn't like kind of come back on that at all. Like they just kind of did that.
Well, I think they did that to show us that it was going to take a different thing to kill Namor. Like you couldn't just stab this man. You had to dry him the fuck out. The reason they didn't die is because they didn't knock those fucking masks off their face. I think if they did that and they removed the masks that were giving them water to breathe, they'd have been done for.
I guess that's fair because like these people all have like vibranium within them. It's like part of their like
physiology.
Yeah, so it's like they're all kind of like at Black Panther level.
Yeah,
but like Wakandan are just humans, like straight up.
Yeah, they all have super strength and they all like they're all like that, which kind of makes them a different fucking breed. But one of the things I did love about this movie was the way they paralleled Shuri and T'Challa's stories, coming off of Civil War where T'Chaka died and T'Challa assumes the role of Black Panther and the role of King in a place of vengeance. He's like, all right, well, I'm gonna kill Zemo. And that line he delivers to Zemo at the end, vengeance has consumed me. And I can't live this way. Shuri says the exact same thing to Namor, but goes, vengeance has consumed us. Damn. And it's and there's a few things like that, the way they parallel T'Challa and Shuri's stories, and I really, really loved that they just had like a harder place to come from for Shuri and a much more honest place to come from as far as grief is concerned. Obviously, because Chadwick did die of an illness without telling anyone he was sick. I think that was kind of they alluded to that heavy with T'Challa, like he was sick and didn't tell anybody for a while until it was too late. And I thought, like, I was like, oh, that was bold. Like that was an interesting, but it just made it more honest, It just made it more clear that that's where this movie is coming from. Like it's why we made it the way we did.
Yeah, I mean, the entire movie is basically just a journey through grief. That's like the Shuri story is going from absolute chaos. I don't know what my next step in life is going to be. I'm lost. I don't know what to do, to like, I am completely comfortable. I found peace. Now there's even, so much more to live for. Like it was just so, like you leave the theater not being like, oh man, I wish Shuri would have done this too. You're like, nah, everything was covered there. Like I almost every aspect of the story is covered and complete, but at the same time, you're like, okay, now what's going to happen next? Like, I need to know what's going to happen with Namor now. I need to know, is Shuri just going to kind of stay in civilian life? Is she going to just kind of be like, more of a political? Obviously, she doesn't want the throne, which is interesting, or maybe, I don't know. It seems that M'Baku is just kind of taking it for free, and that doesn't happen.
It's pretty clear that like Shuri and M'Baku had a discussion, because M'Baku gets off that place and is like, Shuri will not be joining us today. I'll be challenging for the throne. I was like, okay, M'Baku being the ruler of Wakanda, man.
Does that mean so he's becoming a Black Panther as well?
I think we are officially
Like,
separating the mantles of ruler of Wakanda and the Black Panther.
I think like every Wakandan, like eventually will
take in the heart-shaped herb.
Yeah, I think like, well, I don't know. The thing is that like Shuri could have mass produced them in her lab, could have, but she only planted. I don't know if that's like the start of the garden, whatever, and like it'll turn this whole forest into it eventually, sort of thing is what they're going for, or if it's like this is it, and we're keeping it as we're keeping it maybe only. I don't know. I don't know what kind of direction they're going with there. It'll be interesting because, like, do they just give it to people of Wakanda? Do they? No way they open it up. Do they open it up to the whole world? I don't think so. I don't think every human on Earth is just going to be running around with the powers of Black Panther.
No, they will not. That's my thing is that, like, I don't even know that they'll go as far as giving it to everybody in Wakanda. I think it's more just it's a new start to carry on the traditions that they've had.
Oh, fuck, what if that's how the X gene comes into play? They fucking find some way to not give the powers of Black Panther to everybody, but it's like some health boost, just like general like health cure thing, make you feel better. And then like the whole world takes it. They're like, it's like a worldwide vaccine sort of thing, but just like, for everything because it's vibranium. Fuck it, it works.
Right.
And then, but since everyone takes it, it awakes the X gene in mutants, so that's the worldwide event. Maybe, I don't know.
I'm of the mind we are not getting an X gene moment anymore.
I guess Namor already just was
Namor is mutant. The first mutant. That's how he is in the comics. He's regarded as the first mutant. Him being created 500 years ago, with a mutation that puts wings on his feet and ears that point towards the sky. I think they're going with Namor as the first mutant, and anyone who like She-Hulk's made it clear that more super-abled people exist than we thought. Miss Marvel's a mutant. Mutants exist.
Fair.
It's like I think one of the cool things is if they play into the idea that maybe the X-Men or Charles Xavier's school for youngsters has existed, but it's what it's supposed to be, and it's been a secret.
Okay. I guess fair. Yeah, there doesn't need to be a moment or anything. But is everyone down there Namor's kid? Or like from the lineage?
Descendants of Namor's
Didn't think about
family
that until just now because it was just him and like 4 people. And he was the only one who didn't age fast.
That's because he was a mutant, though.
Yeah. So, like, because were those the only people that were still alive, or that like went down? Like, because he came up, buried his. Oh no.
There were more with him.
Oh yeah, no, there were already a lot of people. I guess
there like everybody in that village decided to take it.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
Like whenever they all collapse and they wake up blue, they're like. I think there's like 20 of them at least there, but
fair. Okay, never mind.
No, I really liked that aspect of the story too. The entire time spent with Namor's origin and Shuri and Namor kind of having this. I don't know. You get some Raylo vibes from that, some Kylo Ren and Rey sort of shit going on there.
Yeah.
I was feeling it. I was a little like, oh, this is It seems like it's gonna be something one day, but it's a little.
I mean, how do alliances become permanent, and all the other shows? It could be.
It'll be complicated. He did kill her mom.
That is true.
It's one that's
at the
a little hard
there,
to come back from.
Whenever I don't know, kind of like his I don't know what she like the lead. She was kind of like the leader of their military sort of thing. Kind of also like the hand of the.
Namora?
I don't know. Like, is that her name? Namora.
Yeah, Namora.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Namor and Namora. Okay. That's pretty easy to remember. But whenever she was like, no, like I can't believe that you would kneel, or I can't believe you would do this, and he was when he was talking there, was he just being like, no, it'll be okay, like this will be one of the strongest alliances, or was he kind of plotting for the future?
Oh,
There.
I think it's a mix of both, you know. He's like, one day they'll come to us for help, and then they'll be in our debt. Then they will need help. And or when we need help, we can call on them for whatever. I think
That more out of like friendship, like more out of kindness saying that, or is he saying that out of like kind of,
I think it's ambiguous. Like
kind of like, it'll be up to
is.
us whenever it comes to that time, like,
yeah,
sort of thing.
like,
Okay.
If we choose to help, like, that's kind of what's cool about Namor too, is that he's been a good guy, he's been a bad guy, you know, and he can kind of just make his decisions on the fly like that. He can be like, yeah, you know what, fine.
Oh my god, I want to talk about probably one of my favorite characters that will be a favorite new character of mine, and I'm assuming she's just going to continue to be this way, is Ironheart, and she is a perfect... I can't wait, because she is literally Tony Stark to a T, but not rich and white and a guy, and whenever people start hating on her and being like, oh, she could never do whatever Tony, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be like, oh, well, she's literally Tony. So, literally, like, you're literally just sexist and racist if you hate Ironheart. Like, it'll be perfect. It'll be perfect to single out and weed out everyone.
Everyone. No, you're absolutely right. The introduction of that character was super fucking cool. Whenever they show up to MIT and the way Okoye's like, she's attending a school that is the equivalent of one of our villages. Like,
yeah, it's so elementary to them, but to us, it's like, oh my god, she's at MIT at 19. Holy shit! But to them, it's like, yeah, third grade.
Yeah,
in Wakanda.
Okay, she's at some sort of fucking school that's the equivalent of one of our villages schools. Yeah. No, that was hilarious. And the way that I loved that when Shuri knocked on her door, she was like, "Oh, you're Princess Shuri." Like, I like that. I really liked that, like, she would be known as a Wakandan monarch, especially as, like, probably specifically to black people would probably take note of who Wakandan royalty was. And
that's a superhero country right there. Yeah. That's like everyone's interested in Wakanda. That's the most powerful country in the world right there.
Exactly.
So, I mean, yeah, everyone
staying informed. But yeah, I loved the way that, like, Shuri walked all the way through this fucking dorm. Nobody said a goddamn word, and then Riri opens the door and is like, "Holy shit, you're Princess Shuri!" Like, oh, okay, fuck. Yeah, and the way she's like, "Yeah, am I being recruited?" And she's like, "No."
Fuck, damn it, man. Whatever. But I mean, pretty much.
Oh yeah, essentially. I loved, and that whole sequence thereafter. Like, okay, I do have something of a gripe with the movie. And it's what comes after Riri's introduction, and it's the folding in of Ross and Val's storyline. Too prominent. Did not need to be an entire subplot. And what really sucks is it's the only thing that was shoehorned into the movie for the purpose of world building the MCU. And Val was scary, you know, at the end whenever she's like, "Oh, I dream of that." Like, yeah, she's an imperialist.
Yeah. She's an imperialist. And I think that's what they were going for, is the other part, it was the grief story that Shuri and everyone of Wakanda was dealing with, and then the other part of the story was the world is trying to get vibranium from Wakanda, the real part of the story, the part of the story that they wanted to relate back.
No, yeah, and like, it was, I really, really fucked with that. I fucked with the beginning whenever Ramonda is at the United Nations speaking and like exposes France like that on the spot. Like, that was hard as fuck. But I don't think we needed to take it much further than that. I think that you know, like, Val, I think what we accomplished with Val over the course of this movie could have been done in one scene. I don't think it needed an entire subplot with Ross and stuff.
Yeah, but, I mean, I guess the whole crux of it all is Riri. It is Ironheart. Like, she is the one Namor wants to kill. Like, the CIA wants to protect her. Like, so I mean, that, like, it kind of is the crux of the story. So I mean, it kind of is like, the CIA and the American government would be a huge play here, because like it was the vibranium detector that set all of this off in the first place. And then I guess like, yeah, it is,
And here's the thing, because like I don't have a problem with that aspect of the story. It's all the time we spend with Ross and Val after it.
yeah, I guess they did focus on them too much.
It's like, I don't give a shit about this. Like, I don't give a shit that Val and Ross were married, apparently.
I think it's just to establish Val.
Oh, and it absolutely is. But that's my thing, is that like,
it didn't need to happen here.
It didn't need to happen here. I think that it's an interesting world building tool, but it's one of those things where the MCU sacrifices quality for future endeavors, you know. And I don't think it needed to happen here. Like, shit, you could have done pretty much everything you did with this in like a special presentation on Marvel, like a fucking 15-minute short, and like called it a day.
Yeah, I see. That's fair. I guess I was kind of just, whenever Vel was on screen, I guess I kind of wasn't really paying attention to what was happening with him, more of just being like, okay, what does this mean for like Vel and this side of the story? I was just really like, I guess I kind of clocked out of the movie for a minute. I guess that's all that it did. You're right. It like all that their storyline did was clock me out of the better movie that was going on.
Yeah, it's just not in the right place. It's a little out of place, and you know, like not to say, like, I do like Everett Ross's character and I like Val, but and Everett Ross has been a big part of Black Panther comics. Like, I'm reading Christopher Priest's run from 1998 right now, and the entire story is through a narration by Ross. Telling stories about T'Challa while he's on American soil. And like, that's really cool. And like the way that Ross reveres Wakandans and is trying to protect them and stuff, and is like, he's trying to keep it a secret from Balance. Like, that shit was really, really cool. But, you know, in a movie that was so, like, we just came back to it a bit too much. I think it would have been fine once or twice, but it was just that, like, every time we came back to it, it was like, oh man. And then like I liked the way they wrapped it up with Okoye and the Midnight Angel suit breaking him out, and fucking love the Midnight. And that's another thing that's just hugely rewarding if you're a comic book reader for Black Panther. Like, that Ta-Nehisi Coates run from 2016 introduces the Midnight Angels, and it's like, whew.
That was cool. I had no idea that was even a thing whatsoever. And I was like, okay, yeah, it might look a little funky. Like, they were kind of right. Like, sure, like, was it Okoye or who was it that was like, every time I come down here, it just keeps getting uglier, or whatever. But like, I don't know, it grew on me. Like, actually seeing it in action too was cool.
Yeah, dude. I like, so like, as soon as I saw it, I fucking loved it, because I've like, that's been one of my, Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Panther runs, one of my favorites of all time. And what's interesting though is that they're kind of framing it in the MCU as a new uniform for the Dora Milaje, whereas the Midnight Angels in the comics are like a whole other faction of warrior. Like, they're a different thing separate from the Dora Milaje.
Is that? Well, because I thought it was just Okoye and Anika. That is it, Anika or Aneka?
Anika, yeah.
Because I thought it was just them two, and they like, because Okoye was stripped of her title.
Oh yeah, no, but like, that's how. Like, I guess it could still go in that direction where the Midnight Angels are a separate thing. I think that's how Shuri posed the idea to Okoye when she was general. It's like, I think this could be a great direction for the Dora. Like, and like, I don't like, now they could obviously go a whole separate way now that Okoye has been, and what a scene that was. When Okoye was stripped of her titles, you know, listening to watching the trailer and hearing I am the queen of the most powerful nation in the world, and my entire family is gone. Never in a million fucking years would I have guessed that was directed at Okoye.
Yeah. No. That is crazy. I don't know that. I don't know.
Demon.
I think, man, I was thinking of who to give the performance nod to for this movie. Man. And if it's not Shuri, because she had to step up so much. Yeah, it's one of them too, I'd say.
Which is crazy, because I mean, like, fuck, even Okoye throughout this fucking movie. Denai Guerrera, she is fucking incredible. Like,
man, that is a department that was not lacking whatsoever. No one,
not Huerta, like it just keeps getting better and better.
Man, okay, yeah, no, I don't know. We got so like that. That's the thing that was immediate to me that I think I can't I can't come down on. Like enjoyment wise and critically, I was like, okay, maybe I was too high on. I'll think about it later. But like superhero wise, this movie had like everything you could have ever wanted in a superhero movie. Like
absolutely,
we have 2 powerhouse nations that are unknown, like have vibranium ones, basically Atlantis on land, and then we have them fighting against each other, and at the helm of both of them are 2 superheroes. One the Black Panther, one Marvel's version of Aquaman that's way cooler. And then all of the side characters that come along with that as well fighting. And then, even though Vel is in there and we don't really want it, we did still get her, which was really cool.
It was very cool for the Marvel fan side of the story. It was just, I do think it sacrificed a little bit of more quality storytelling for the sake of setting up shit, which I think has become one of the bigger gripes with the MCU is that it's like sometimes you just got to let the thing be the thing and not worry about what comes next. But the MCU will always worry about what comes next, and that's part of what makes it rewarding for long-term fans. And I absolutely understand that, but sometimes it feels a little out of place, and this is one of those times.
This one might be, I don't know. I was about to say something maybe bold because I don't know if I don't know if I'm missing anyone that's huge or not. But was this the best post-credit scene in Marvel history?
It was the best ending to a Marvel movie. Not just post-credit scene. Like the end of this movie is truly the best end of any Marvel because it is such a huge emotional payoff after the setup earlier. It's cathartic as fuck. It's
Endgame? The ending of Endgame.
Yes. The very ending of Endgame? Yeah. Like, I mean last scene. Like, the end. Her sitting on the beach burning the cloth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like, I don't mean like, and frankly, it's the best third act of any Marvel movie either, too. Like, don't get me wrong, the entire ending. Like, it's the best final act of a Marvel movie, too. Because that's usually for me where it loses, where I start going like, okay, you had a good movie going, then you made it classic superhero bullshit, like, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's the genre, but like, sometimes it becomes less compelling. They did not do that here, like that was my gripe with Eternals. I loved the first 2 acts of that movie, but the final act, we fall back on a pretty typical, superhero conflict.
True.
I think this one elevates on that and elevates on a lot of final acts in a very meaningful and compelling way. And when the movie ends and she's sitting there on the beach burning the funeral wares, remembering T'Challa, man, that's a scene I really need to see a second time because that's the end of the movie. The kid knew it was the end of the movie and was ready to go.
Dang.
No, yeah, it was like I almost cried. I didn't because this fucking kid kept being like, ah!
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my fucking God. Yeah,
Dang,
like,
that's rough.
Yeah, just ruining the mood, ruining the moment, but it still resonates a great deal. But when that post-credit scene kicks in, man, and you see Nakia in the background holding hands with a child, I gripped Emily's hand and went, her and T'Challa had a baby. And like,
yep.
Oh, dude.
Yep.
And that did it. Like the floodgates opened. I cried for that.
Seeing just a little kid was enough to start the tears.
Mm-hmm.
Then when he spoke and he said his name and
yeah, he was like, Toussaint's my Haitian name. And he said that and I went, no, don't do it to me, bro.
Nope.
And she goes, what's your name? He goes, Prince T'Challa, son of King T'Challa. I went, oh, Oh God.
Nope.
Like I cried, bro. And another one of the best fucking through lines of the entire movie was like Nakia's explanation for why she wasn't at the funeral, why she had to leave, why she hasn't been around, like why she wasn't in anything. Like I was
and
like,
Ramonda knew.
and
Thank
Ramonda knew.
God,
Thank God Ramonda knew.
Oh my God.
Oh,
My
dude.
God. And you know that's what she was going to tell Shuri. Like, or do you think that is what she was going to tell Shuri? Before Namor popped up and interrupted, like, kind of the ritual, she was like, "I'm going to tell you. There's something I have to tell you about your brother."
I forgot about that. Yes, that's absolutely what she was going to tell her.
Is it that? Is it, or is there something more? Is it like your brother had a kid? That's why you haven't seen. Like, I don't know. Is that it? Or, because she did say there is something about your brother I have to tell you about.
It's got to be that. Like, I don't know what else it would have been. Because that's also after she went and paid her visit to Nakia, and she's mad that she wasn't at the funeral. That's when she told her.
That would have made a lot more sense to tell her then too, and be like, "That's okay, yeah, okay, fair." I was just trying to think if there was anything
when she
else
up and
that
she sees Nakia, and she's like, "We missed you at T'Challa's funeral. Like, where were you?" Like, she at that point she doesn't know. She gets told off screen. And it does make it a huge payoff there at the end, man. And one of the best lines is, he prepared us. He prepared us for his death. We were ready for it, and he told us it would be best to come out here. Do you remember in Black Panther when he's in the ancestral plane, he visits T'Chaka, his dad, and he's like, "I'm not ready to let you go," and he says, "So have I failed as a father?" A father prepares his children for when he's gone.
No.
Oh, dude, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. It just kept.
How do they do it?
Oh,
how
it was
do they
so
do it?
well done, dude. I could and that's why the more I think about the movie, I'm going to elaborate on the change now, where it fell in my rankings. Started at 7. It's at 3.
Because the more that I've talked about it, it went from 10 to 15 to now. Okay.
Yeah, this is a great movie, dude. Not prior to this movie, I had my top 3 overall MCU was Black Panther at 1. It's just been my favorite for years. Infinity War at 2, WandaVision at 3, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 at 4, and Shang-Chi at 5. And then I alluded to at the beginning of this podcast that Wakanda Forever became my favorite thing of Phase 4 over the last couple days. And then when I saw that WandaVision was at 3, I was like, it's got to be 3 then. It's got to be 3. And I really do stand by it. It's one that so prior to this movie, I had both Guardians movies in the top 10, and I was like, no way, we got a trilogy that gets better than that. Now I got the first 2 Black Panther movies in my top 3.
Yeah.
I'm sitting high as I've ever been on a new Marvel movie. It's and it was such a weird one because I walked out and I was not disappointed, but I wasn't in the best place with it. It was just it was just the more I thought about it, the more I looked back on it, the more I went, God damn, what a fucking movie. And the way they handled Shuri and Ramonda's characters in specific was fucking amazing. Whenever Ramonda throws that shit back in Okoye's face, whenever that fucking outsider usurped the throne, what did you do? What did you do? And that's it's a woman blinded by grief and blinded by the fact that her daughter's gone and stuff, because the guy sitting next to her makes the good point and is like, what did she do the moment she saw T'Challa though? She put her spear to her husband's throat and was ready to kill him for Wakanda.
Damn.
And she's like, I don't give a fuck. She didn't listen. Like it's just like I love the way they reckoned with what grief does to people in this movie, and they just did it so fucking good. Like we thought WandaVision handled grief in a way that was incredible, but this elevated in just a way that is shocking to see.
I'm looking at the tier list, and it's not. I don't think I can put it in the what the fuck with Into the Spider-Verse, Logan, and Infinity War. I feel like take out the Ross and Vel part, and solely if it was just completely contained, maybe a little bit of the Shuri, right? Yeah,
because man, M'Baku in this movie fucked too. That part in the middle at Ramonda's funeral where he goes to Shuri and is like, I told your brother I would counsel and protect you. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure you do the right thing here. And I will continue to try and make sure you do the right thing because that's what I told him I'd do. And I loved the way throughout the movie they alluded to the fact that all the characters had a little bit of a moment with T'Challa where he went, so I'm on my way out. I need this from you. He might not have said it in such words, but I always need you to counsel and protect my sister. He
knew obviously they were going to take those words to heart. Yeah, I don't know. The struggle that I'm having here is if I like the first movie better or this one, and it's like hard for me to. I don't know. It's really hard for me to pick between the two.
I think critically, this is probably a overall better film. And I think that can almost entirely rest on the shoulders of Namor versus Killmonger. Like everything else, Wakanda, T'Challa, like Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, fucking fantastic. Every character around them, fucking fantastic. Michael B. Jordan's not the greatest actor on earth. And even his scene in this movie, which we haven't talked about.
It's like they were kind of forced to go with him. I didn't think about it, but like out of anyone she could have seen in the ancestral plane, it could have been Chadwick, which obviously they're not going to deep fake him. Obvious, no. Could have seen T'Chaka, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense for sure. We haven't gotten a whole sense of. I don't know. We haven't gotten really anything with them on screen at all, so it wouldn't have really been that satisfying. Guessing.
Ramonda.
Maybe Ramonda, but is because it seems like, well, yeah. Can everyone goes to the ancestry? I guess. Yeah, it's not. Okay, fair.
Like in Wakandan culture, death is not the end. If you Wakandan, you go to the ancestral plane. But what I loved about it is that the way she's feeling when she takes the heart-shaped herb leads her to Killmonger. It's what leads her to seeing him. And it's the way at the end of the movie, whenever she's ready to forgive, that she sees Ramonda. And it's okay. And that's what makes that moment in the movie one of the most compelling, and why she, ultimately picks the suit that more resembles Killmonger's than it does anybody else's, because she's ready. She's going scorched earth now. Her mom's dead. She is now the ruler of the most powerful nation in the world, and her entire family is gone. She is, and she's been granted the power of the Black Panther.
I will say for just what Killmonger had and what Michael B. Jordan had to do, it wasn't anything that I'm going to write home about. It wasn't anything on Ramonda's level or anything like that. But it was for what he needed to do and give Shuri the fire, the spark. Are you going to do what needs to be done? Are you going to be?
I'm not going to cap with you. This is Michael B. Jordan's best scene as Killmonger.
Yeah. Oh no, Killmonger for sure. It was kind of interesting having what did he call T'Challa he was not lazy, but something along the lines of too noble, maybe.
Yeah, too noble.
I guess. So it was very interesting that even in trying to shame T'Challa, saying he was too noble, you still can't, even trying to put him down from previous Black Panthers, they're like.
Well, and in that moment when he's talking about how he's too noble, the thing he's specifically probably talking about is Zemo, how he didn't kill Zemo. He didn't let vengeance win. He thought he would get just and fair a trial, and justice would be paid that way.
So
and the living are not done with you yet.
Is it kind of like the people who are in the ancestral plane, they see everything that's happened? Is it I guess I don't know. Are they? I don't know. I guess I guess it doesn't really matter now that I think about it. It doesn't matter either way. But I was trying to think because Shuri was she was pissed that she didn't see. She was pissed that she saw Killmonger and not anyone else. She would have been happy to see anyone else. And I was wondering if it's truly Shuri's feeling that made her see Killmonger, if it was something that she just truly needed to hear in the moment, sort of thing, a Neo situation where it's not the advice you expect, but exactly what you need to hear in the moment to lead you on your journey that will sort of thing.
I see what you're talking about, but I don't think the reason that I do end up leaning towards it's the way Shuri was feeling that led me there is because Killmonger's not gonna be oh, I'll tell her what she needs to hear right now. He's gonna be I'm gonna tell you what I think. It's that you should kill these motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know. Even though that it's obviously he could have been oh, you will be mad at him, but obviously don't kill him. You'll thank yourself a lot later. But leading her down that path makes her realize how crazy she was in thinking that, and it led to the whole blade at his neck decision moment. If she didn't go down that path, if she didn't, because she was dead. If she didn't have that extra spark to snap it, get off, and go get Namor,
ooh, that was some gruesome shit too.
Holy
buddy.
shit! Yeah.
I was
ouch.
That was an intense ass fight. I
thought they were both dead. I thought Shuri was dead. I thought they were both going to lay there dead, and it was camera pan up.
I was as soon as she pulled herself off of it and kept fighting, I was okay, well she'll live now. Because ain't no way you get stabbed through the midsection, do a full fucking flip over the top of Namor and not live.
Well, that's why I was thinking no way she lives through this. This is a last absolute ditch effort.
So fucking thankful. I was so worried that we were just gonna continue killing villains at the end of movies. Bro, whenever he got flamed and his back was charred, I was fuck. No, I was so thankful that she beat him and stuff, but I was I can't you can't keep doing this to villains. You're gonna run out of people to make compelling villains. I was so thankful that he lived, and I was so thankful that it gave her the chance to have an emotional payoff. That more than anything was what I was no, she needs to not kill this man. That needs to be a part of the... and then she didn't, and I was very thankful for that. When they pull up there, and dude, the visuals of the Wakandans versus the Talokan. Whenever we got that over, I think my favorite shot of the movie, I think I have a favorite shot of the movie, and it is from that scene. It's when they're all in the water, and it's that overhead shot of all of them fighting, and the waves are crashing around them and stuff. There was something about that that was so satisfying to see. It was so nice, but
man, is Namor after that? Because Shuri got one of his wings. I remember ripped it off. Straight up. Can he regrow them, or is that a permanent?
Good question. I don't know. I don't know if because of his mutation it makes it different than the rest of his healing components. Or if once he returns to water, will he just go ahead and grow it back? I don't know. That's a good question. I think it's something that we'll see play out in the future. But yeah,
that is interesting. That The fact will remain that Namor killed Ramonda. Like that's not gonna. I guess
I won't
Shuri
go away.
came to peace with that. Like that is the decision that she made there. But I think instead of it being Shuri being the one being like, oh, that's never gonna leave, holding the grudge, I think it's like more gonna be Namor being like, no way she can actually be okay with me forever.
Right.
Like I think it'll be more of like maybe getting him back into the villain role, sort of thing.
No, I get you. I get you. No, yeah, I look forward to the future of this of these nations. Wakanda and Talocan. I think it'll be now. I feel like they're intrinsically tied together, and almost like they'll come hand in hand. Like if we see one of them, it's kind of implied that we might see the other. They almost seem like that's the kind of tie that they're creating between the two nations. But
So there in Talocan, it was just like a pure vibranium sphere that was like powering the city, right? Like in the middle.
Yeah.
And because I'm just trying to think of all the tech that they kind of have, because they didn't really show us a whole lot of Talocan. Like it was just kind of like the outside and a few civilians and like a few kind of cool montage shots, but like as far as like what they have, we still don't really know like a whole lot, I guess. Like
yeah, no, we don't know what they're necessarily capable of and stuff, but
sick to have the meteor. Like just one meteor hit the ocean, one meteor hit Wakanda. Like, okay, cool. Nice to have Killmonger back.
Like, yeah, I get, and I loved the way that like shook up like Wakandan mythology, like the way Okoye's like, this changes literally everything I was taught as a young girl. Like all the histories, all the mythologies, like I know them better than my own name. Like what the fuck? I like the way that they kind of went about that. Like these things kind of shake up the spirituality of their existence. They like the vibranium was so tied to them that like now that it's an entire other civilization's identity as well, it's like, oh no, like it changes things for them. And one thing I did want to touch on though was the attack on the city, on the Golden City in Wakanda, when all the soldiers storm and Namor flies up and whenever he stabs the spear right in Ramonda's face and like the glass shatters right there, I was like, whew. Yeah, he what's funny is like that was how he like planned on killing her, I think. He was
he was straight up.
He was like, I was
if
trying
I kill
to
her here, cool. If she dies in the explosion that I'm about to, cool. Oh, she's still alive. Okay, I'll fuck. Whatever. Or I guess no. Yeah, that did kill her.
And I loved that Ramonda could have lived, but she saved Riri and died. Like that was an incredible, just another last little bit about Ramonda being the type of person she was. Like I was just like, oh, whenever she swam downwards and was clearly struggling to get back up, like that was not an easy swim.
That was also like very hard. My heart was racing. I'm like, oh my god, like no way she's. I don't know. I'm like, I don't want her to go here, but it's seeming like this is not gonna go, like not gonna be good. Like you go faster. Like
and then we
this
see
dress is not helping you. It's very dragging you down. And I'm like, no. I don't know. I was like worrying about everything.
And the way that there's the shot in the trailer of Shuri being like held back, screaming, crying and stuff, and it was like, oh no, and then when I saw that, I was like, oh fuck, god damn. And that's just this movie asked a lot of the actors in a way that like none of the MCU really has. And not just storytelling wise, but literally filmmaking wise, they asked a lot of the actors to like, because they are dealing with something so deeply personal through this story that it's like I don't it's just very, very impressive the way they pulled this off. And that line Namor delivers once he comes face to face with Shuri, he's like, you're the queen now, bury your dead, let's go. I was like, oh Oh, this man is evil.
And he's like the god, the stereotypical kind of god. You know, he's very full of himself. You know, he paints all of his stuff, like, which is or he gets it done. You know, like all of his stories, he gets painted down there, and like you know, in Mayan hieroglyphs or or Aztec. That's right. Is it Aztec or Mayan?
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't remember.
I think it was Mayan.
I think it was Mayan. I think it was Mayan.
But I don't know. It is like he is like they even had the conversation in the movie. They were like, yeah, if you kill him, their people are going to be pissed. That's like their god. Like you can't just kill him. You know,
well,
like,
and the fact that it's M'Baku who poses that.
Yeah.
He's like, we know him as Namor. The people call him, I can't remember what it was. It was like Kun Kuklan or Kuklan, something like that. I can't remember exactly what the pronunciation was, but the feathered serpent god. And I loved M'Baku in this movie, dude. Whenever like, what? Just because we live in mountains, you think we don't have access to books? Like,
I don't know. Maybe it was that conversation right there that Shuri was like, you know what? You got it. You got the throw. Well, I guess, did Shuri hear that whenever?
Yeah, sure. Oh, no, wait. No, because she busts through the ceiling as
she came down in after. Okay.
Yeah. No, because they have a whole conversation after that with her as the Black Panther, and that's when it's said. But yeah,
what a cool like arm wrestle, just to, because he's obviously yoked, and like obviously it would take the Black Panther to beat him. He's like just assumed to be the strongest guy in Wakanda, you know, like or whatever, and like it's just the arm wrestle, and like Shuri beats him, and he's like, "Yup, she's got the power."
Returned. Yeah, like I fucking loved that shit. And another thing that I was surprised about, that I didn't know how they would manage it, but they did in a very compelling way, was Nakia's role in this. You know, Lupita Nyong'o as Nakia. I didn't expect her to be a huge part of this movie, and the fact that she is the one who's sent to, she's the spy who's sent in to get Shuri and Riri out of Talocan, and not only that, but that she succeeds in doing that is kind of fucking nuts. Like, I was like, okay, Nakia's a fucking badass, huh?
That hover, bike, boat, submarine, ship, whatever thing is so cool.
So cool.
And yeah, she just straight up went in there. Ramon was like, whatever means necessary, do it. And she's like, all right, I'm going to go in, grab. She's like, it was to a T. She discovered the entrance to Atlantis, kind of. You know, I guess she wouldn't know how to get into the city, like with the thingy that's all the way down at the bottom or whatever, to get like the wave or the
little undertow
thingy. Yeah, but I mean, kind of like the start. I guess maybe one of the entrances.
Yeah, it's certainly an entrance. You know,
I guess it's anywhere in the ocean, not just there. I guess you can.
Yeah, no, but no, that shit was super cool, and I loved the way that this is after, you know, Shuri is already bonded with Namor a bit and seen the beauty in their civilization and why he wants to protect his resources and stuff, and that's another thing, to make this movie so thoroughly about grief and the process of going through that, but then also about colonialism and fighting it. Super fucking cool. But whenever Shuri is like, we need to save her. You can't have done this. This means war. Like that. This will be an act of war if we don't save her. And she's like, yeah, we ain't got time. Let's get the fuck out of here.
I guess the Earth still doesn't know about Atlantis yet. Right?
No,
they still think that was Wakanda.
Yeah, not even at the end of this movie.
Wait. Is that still up in the air? Are they still in like a little bit of trouble? Wakanda?
Yeah, they definitely could still be, but
I mean trouble, as in like, obviously it's just because of the like ignorance of the rest of the world that causes the problem. But like, is the US and France still going to be like very pissed? Like, I'm assuming so.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Specifically the US, especially after France They got sunned in the middle of the UN, which was fucking incredible. Whenever she's like, "Yeah, bring them in," and they all come through, and it's like, "Ha ha ha ha, we got the ass." I thought that was incredible. But whenever they down the U.S. operatives and stuff, there's no evidence that was done by somebody who's not Wakandan.
That's true.
They're gonna assume it was Wakanda to protect vibranium, and it won't just be an assumption; it'll be a willful ignorance. Val, like she said, she dreams of America being the only place to have vibranium. So it will.
What a weird
There'll probably
way.
be and that's the thing that's so difficult about the MCU and their messaging and stuff. I'll be interested if they handle that correctly.
Seems they're pegging her out as a villain, though.
They're definitely pegging her out as a villain in this movie.
As a crazy woman. That was like
in this movie for sure. But whenever that conflict really comes to the forefront, I'm interested as to how they'll handle it, or if they'll go the whole it's just a few bad apples route.
I guess she's got John Walker, and John Walker I think was already handled in the light that he was supposed to be handled. People took him the wrong way, but the show handled him how he was supposed to be. I think
so too.
And I think that's, I hope, the light that they keep Vel in.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that she will continue to be I don't think they'll ever go oh, she's sympathetic. No, I think Val's going to straight up be a villain. But I do think there'll come a point where they're the U.S., maybe the U.S. government's oh, we can't keep doing this, and it's nah, that's exactly what you fucking would do if there was vibranium somewhere. I think that's fair to assume, but I'm interested to see where they take that, the direction they go with it, because it's I think if they manage to go ahead and just say, nah, in the third Black Panther movie, the U.S. government is the villain, we've got the best trilogy on our hands. If that's the route we go.
What if the third movie is, because Atlantis didn't know of Wakanda before this. Wakanda didn't know of Atlantis before this.
Yeah, right.
They both assumed that they had the only vibranium on Earth, and that there was only 2 meteors. Who's to say there's not another one out there somewhere on Earth? Ungrabbed. Antarctica. Fuck it. I don't know. Somewhere untouched where it's going to be the world, they figure out that it's there. Then the world is okay, we need that. That's not Wakandan. That's not in in your land, so it's anyone's. It's up for grab, whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's Wakanda Wakanda and not Atlantis.
Talokan.
Wakanda and Talokan versus the world there. And it is that is the movie. Is the race, kind of like the nuclear arms race. Yeah, but that way. And maybe that's how they tie in the freaking Eternals, maybe in the hand of fucking the Celestial, in the hand of the Eternal that was inside Earth. It raised up the meteor that was buried, somehow, fuck it, and then it's them excavating the Celestial makes them find vibranium, and then it starts the whole fucking war.
It's on the dark side of the moon or some shit.
The meteor hit the moon! 2 hit Earth, 1 hit the moon!
Yeah, one of them's not even on the Earth.
Maybe that's what caused the moon.
Maybe the moon...
The moon is the meteor! The moon is the meteor!
Yeah, now we're getting into it. Now we're getting into the thick of it. But,
I kind of see maybe if it's not another meteor, I kind of do see the world verse Fuck! My God, it's too easy to call it Atlantis. the two powerhouses versus the world. I'll
I
just say
think so.
that. I can actually see that being the third movie.
I think that's a distinctive possibility as well. And
You think it jumps as far? Like, do you think we wait until T'Challa Junior, or T'Challa the second? I feel like it's T'Challa the second,
I think
right?
it's the second. Yeah,
You can't. Junior just doesn't roll well.
not when
But
you're
like,
royalty.
yeah, does it?
You're Prince
Do
T'Challa
we
the second.
do we see him much older? In the next Black Panther movie, like, does it wait until he is a possibility of becoming the
No,
ruler?
I don't think so. I think we'll get the next Black Panther movie much sooner than that. I'd be willing to bet that. I mean, because I don't think we get Black Panther 3 for probably another 4 or 5 years. I'd be willing to bet. Like it's probably 2027, 2028 type shit.
Yeah,
2026.
4 or 5 calendar years, but that could be 10, 15
Yeah, it depends on
years in
what
the
they do with like
MCU.
it depends on what they do in the MCU. Like that's the thing is that I don't see us jumping super far for Secret Wars and stuff. Like I think that'll be another
True.
few years, not like another 7, 8 years maybe. So like kid will be a little older, but a little older for this kid is like 13, 14, and that's not it's not a Black Panther age yet. I do think one day we'll get there. I have very little doubt about that. But I do think it'll be. I think it's a ways down the road. I think it'll be a little bit. One thing that I did find encouraging about this movie was the explicit statement that Namor's mutation caused him to age slowly. If they follow the same formula for Magneto, his story is fucking safe. He could have
age slow.
could be a Holocaust survivor. Still looks 50 something now. You know what I'm saying? Like
obviously, if he ages slowly, he might have to disappear, and that's why he went to his island that he, or whatever, like, because he can't just...
I'm so fucking interested by what they might choose to do with that storyline still, like if they have, like, the hidden island or...
It is a very, very crucial part of Magneto's origin. Like, it's kind of...
You cannot not make him a Holocaust survivor.
Yeah, like...
He has to be persecuted at that level that way. It can't otherwise he's not Magneto, like otherwise that's just not what the character is. It'll be very, very interesting.
Could it have possibly... I'm trying to think of any way the MCU would do it, and if they're dumb enough to, like, any Red Skull, like with that Nazi. Like, like, could it be...
I mean, it could be that, like, the Hydra branch of the Nazis experimented on him and stuff. Like, and it wouldn't be that huge of a branch away from what they do, like, and what his origin was. But,
yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Whenever X-Men start popping up, what's gonna...
Well, we've already gotten a little allusion to Wolverine and She-Hulk and stuff. Like, I think these characters exist. I just don't think we've met them. I just don't think we've met them. Which is super exciting stuff. But yeah, that little line just made me very encouraged by what they could do with Magneto's storyline. Made me very happy. I was like, okay, we could get Magneto in the way he's supposed to be portrayed. Which is what I'm hoping for.
Fair. Yeah.
Cool.
So current mutants, we got Miss Marvel, we got Namor. Is that it right now? I guess
we saw
Professor X.
Multiverse of Madness, but
I guess Reed Richards isn't.
As far as like 616, yeah, Namor, Miss Marvel. I think that's it. I do think that's it.
Wow. I don't know, what is your prediction as far as what's to come from the newly planted, what do they call, what's the name of them?
The heart-shaped herb.
Heart-shaped herb. Yeah, what do you think is going to come of that?
I think they'll continue their tradition with the heart-shaped herb. I think that
Keeping it like
how they
restricted to kind of royal-ish.
yeah, I think they might branch out ways that they can use but like that's the thing is that they've probably already figured out a way to use vibranium for their medicine, like beyond the heart-shaped herb, you know what I'm saying? So like I was thinking maybe they could take it and like figure out a way to do that, but there's odds are they've already figured that
Or I mean,
out.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess vibranium they use it for medicine, but like the heart-shaped herb, I guess, is the link between vibranium and the ancestral plane, really. Well, no, because it gives you just straight up power, like the power. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Maybe there could be something that like a benefit of because before it was like no way would anyone even think of consuming this unless you were the king of Wakanda and the Black Panther. There's no way anyone would even think of it. So why even go into researching what it could do for anyone else, sort of thing. So like maybe it does open up a whole new branch of everything in medicine somehow.
Yeah, no, and that could be very cool. And like I just don't think I don't think there's any indication of that necessarily. Like maybe they do figure out a way to do something like that in the honor of T'Challa, like this, so we don't have to face a tragedy like that again.
I see them giving something to every single person in Wakanda. Something that stems from the heart-shaped herb. And that just gives a general, maybe like sort of the how they can get stabbed and just straight up come back. But it's maybe not something that far, but something. The people of Wakanda, and then the rest of the world will be like, "That's unfair. We want that," and then that's the spark, And it's like, do we give it to the rest of the world? And I don't know. That'll be interesting.
That could be something for sure. I just don't think they'd like the Black Panther is a sacred position to Wakanda. Like I don't think they'd sully that position by giving everybody the ability to be that.
Yeah, I guess it only works if it's some stem off of the black. It's not exactly the same thing. That's the only way it kind of works.
Yeah, and so like I think the interesting question is whether M'Baku as king becomes a second Black Panther, or if there's just now a king and a Black Panther, and they're not the same entity. And frankly, the comics kind of take it in that direction at a couple different points. We're currently in a stage of Black Panther comics where they're doing a democratically ruled Wakanda with a council and voters and the people and everything. Like, that's currently where the story is at.
I guess Shuri could be the Black Panther, but who's to say that most people can't have the powers of the Black Panther?
No, certainly.
I guess
I wonder.
I think it would be cool if Shuri remained the only one, though. I think it would be cooler if they somehow had a difference. I don't know. Like it is somehow different.
Well, there's also the fact that M'Baku in that first movie, he might be too prideful. He might be like, whenever he's like hoisting up T'Challa, holding him with his fucking spirit, he's like, no suit, no powers, you're a bitch, essentially. Like he could basically, I'd see him being like, I don't need that shit to be king. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just me. I could definitely see him going that route. But man, when he pulled up at the end and was like, I'll be challenging for the throne, I was like, okay.
Man, I was like, at first, I was like, oh man, wait, I was really excited to see Shuri's, like coronation and like the mirroring of everything. But then I'm like, no, like this is cool.
And the way when they were pulling up, I was like so excited because, I love that scene in Black Panther where they're like, T'Challa, like that shit's hard as fuck. And they were singing the Shuri version of it. And then M'Baku gets off and it was like, oh, okay, cool. Now I'm ready to hear M'Baku's.
That's true.
M'Baku.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But man, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Wakanda goes and like what the future of Wakanda is.
Well, and what's even crazier is that like even though they had obviously such mountainous obstacles to overcome in the creation of this movie, it's a shockingly natural sequel to the first. Like it does not feel like they took any character's direction in a way that's like, oh, well, they were clearly overcompensating there. Not at all. Like not one
I don't
bit.
think it was their original plan. I don't,
No, obviously.
it probably not definitely not. Like, I think Chadwick's death changed everything. I think like Chadwick would have been the centerpiece of this movie again.
100%,
Yeah. So like, it obviously changed everything, but goddamn, did they make it fluid with the first one?
They handle it incredibly well. Like they made one of the most heartfelt pieces of film from this entire franchise in the MCU. Like I can't confidently tell you, like I talked about this on multiple occasions, about the heart that you can tell a creative put into a movie. You can't like there's no way you can look me in the eye and tell me there is another one that has more heart than this movie. Like creatives cared about what they were creating here. They knew they had to get it exactly right, and it permeates through this so plainly. Like the emotions are real. You feel it. It's just it's too damn good. It's too damn good.
Yeah, talking about it now has made me more comfortable and not thinking that it's recency bias. Like the Marvel movies in Phase 4, like alone, it's already there, and that's, I don't know. Like the only reason that some of the movies like before Phase 4 that I hold in such high esteem is just because like more of like nostalgia and more of like that factor rather than the actual like that they are critically good movies. But this is just like
it's got a lot going for it, man. Like it is critically good. It's an emotional experience. It truly is one of the best films in Marvel like ever. It's on a level it's hard to beat. But are we ready? Do we want to declare more favorites? Do we want to go favorite performance, favorite character, favorite scene?
Yes, yeah. I think performance. I think it just has to go to Shuri.
Letitia Wright was fantastic.
Yeah, she just the step up of kind of being the comedic relief in movie 1, basically, to the main character of the movie and being the
emotional,
emotional
journey to go on.
Honorable mention to Ramonda and Angela Bassett. Like everyone killed it in this movie, but Shuri, like I think, just kind of had
she had the toughest job, and she elevated in a way that I just didn't know she was capable of. She might be difficult, but damn, she can act.
And I think my favorite scene, like it has to be Shuri and Namor's fight at the end, and whenever she has the blade to his neck and goes through that whole realization and stops right then and there. I'm like, it was just like, it's what the whole movie culminates, it's the whole point. And I think maybe it's the end actually in Haiti. That's probably a better culmination of everything. But with Namor, you have the action too.
The culmination, But the second one, the very end, is more of just finally actually reckoning with the death of her brother, and she's ready to push forth.
I'd say like the fight with Namor, you have also the action of the fight too. And it's also
payoff. And it's intercut with Talocan versus Wakanda on that ship, like
and then flying back together, and then him like Namor being like stop fighting, and then like they're both just standing there, and then Shuri's like Wakanda, like they both do their thing, like everyone they both out of those. What's it like? Why is Atlantis' thing?
Open hand.
Yeah, it's like they're about to Kamehameha. Yeah, they're about to freaking.
No, it reminded me, like I think it's supposed to mimic their throne.
The throne. Oh yeah, like the Jaws. Okay, I see that now.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think it's
Okay.
supposed to mimic.
And it's like Wakandan, like it's kind of they're more like closed. It feels
Yeah.
like, and then like it's more open. Like it's
Yeah.
always they were very yin yang,
Yeah.
very opposites of each other, which was really cool. But let's see, favorite shot. That's I don't know. I really liked the throne room had a lot of really cool shots, whether it was in the ancestral plane with Killmonger and the fire, or like whenever it was full of water and Shuri was maybe swimming through it herself.
Yeah.
A lot of the shots that were really cool came from the throne room.
Gamora floating right outside of the throne room.
Dude,
That's
his
pretty
flying
cool.
was so cool. His flight was just done so well. Like, I don't think it goes up to Icarus levels like of satisfying. Icarus's flight was just something different, and it's untouched. Still, I think. But this was satisfying though. This is the second best flying in the MCU in my opinion so far.
I think so too.
But okay. Favorite. Let's see. I think I have everything but line. Okay. Oh, what's a line in the movie? I'm trying to think of one that like actually stood out. That is like of deliveries, line delivery. Angela Bassett's like firing Okoye was like some of the best delivery.
Have I not given everything?
Oh, basically her Luthen speech, in a way.
Kukulkan. That's what they called him. Kukulan. Kukulkan.
I am the queen of the most powerful nation in the world, and my entire family is gone. Have I not given everything? Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, they don't have many quotes for the movie yet on IMDb. Yeah, Koye in her dorm. You have two choices. You can come to Wakanda conscious or unconscious.
Fucking M'Baku in the throne room. You bald-headed demon.
M'Baku was funny. He was funny, and they had a really good balance of
he did fucking
funny
incredible.
and serious.
He did fucking incredible. But yeah, man, I don't know. But are we ready for a rating? There was a lot of great lines in this movie. I
think we are there. Let's do it.
All right, then let's start with enjoyment. Start with enjoyment. I'm damn close to a 10, if not at a 10. This is an all-time viewing experience as far as the movie is concerned. Emotional as all hell. If not a 10, it's like 9.5 floor.
I think I can't go any lower than a 9.5. It is either a 9.5 or a 9.75 in my mind. Okay, is where I'm at. Cool. I think it's literally just if you take out the Ross and Vel, maybe just have it be a Vel cameo at that. Like that's it. Like the initial crime scene that she tampered the beads, whatever. Like have it be a cameo and be like, oh, she's watching it. She's more connected. Whatever. Yeah. Done. Get that out, and then maybe some of the Shuri stuff that I didn't like at first, but that could be just the way I took it off first watch.
Right.
So I think
I'm with you though. I think a 9.5 is probably fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I don't know. Genre wise, I'm trying to like.
It's an all time because it's not only a superhero movie. This is a family drama. It's a political drama. It's a war movie. It's literally warring nations.
It's trying to think like what is the gold standard of the MCU genre, like having a movie fulfill its genre perfectly.
The Winter Soldier.
Okay.
The spy thriller thing.
I like that.
Fucking nailed that. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it's The Winter Soldier.
So maybe this isn't exactly a 10, but maybe it's again like a 9.5 or like a 9, like around there.
I could see that.
I don't know, or maybe I don't know. This was the one that I was saying that it was like a 10. Like there was so many cool, like the introduction of Ironheart, which I am loving that suit, which was sick, and then having Shuri be like, "Sorry, got to keep
sorry,
it."
I
You
can't let you
know,
take it. Which I love
perfect.
because
Giving
now
her,
she gets to go make her own, and it's
oh, come on, she had her mark, whatever that was, however many iterations that was
Oh
at
shit,
first
she got
on
an
her.
Iron Man suit.
Yeah. And then had her Wakandan suit, and now it'll be interesting to see what she does when she goes back.
I know my favorite line. It's M'Baku talking to Shuri when he's like, "You've gone through too much for you to still be called a child." Like, I think that's my favorite line. Might also be my favorite scene. Like, just that heart to heart was so fucking meaningful to me. I loved it so much. But the way they tackled M'Baku's character in this movie was fucking incredible, and it's what makes me wish they just would have replaced some of
favorite
the
character. I guess we didn't. Might have to be Namor.
Yeah, Namor was a pretty awesome character.
Character wise, well, no, I'd say me. Character, ooh, that's tough. It might be Ironheart. The possibilities in my head are Shuri, Ironheart, and Namor for character.
Funny, mine are Okoye.
Maybe Okoye, yeah.
Mine are Okoye, M'Baku, and Ramonda. So we had like all 6 of the main players considered here, which is hilarious.
I think I want to go with Ironheart. That is like,
yeah, and favorite character. It's not. We're not talking like, oh, their story was the most well done. We got that all the way.
No,
like, who was the most fun to watch on screen? Like, where were you? Like, oh,
I'm Team Iron Man, and seeing someone who, I guess we don't know her complete backstory, but I'm assuming it is through her talents and everything that got her to MIT, and like, I don't think she's going to be a billionaire like Tony was, just off some guesses. But I'm gonna love like seeing the new. Is that her like name for like her character name like that she will have the whole time?
Ironheart.
Like, Ironheart is okay.
Ironheart.
That's pretty
also
cool.
Very
and like,
cool
is the arc reactor? Is it going to be in the shape of a heart? Is that like the idea? Okay, that's cool.
One of the cool things too is that she's not the only character that we know is at MIT. Zendaya's MJ is at MIT.
Yo,
yeah.
Whoa,
Could be cool to see her pop back up in some sort of.
That's right.
Like that. Yeah.
Did Ned end up going there too?
Yeah, Ned also went there, but I think they bring back Zendaya before they bring back Ned.
Well, I'd say Tom just goes to visit Zendaya and Ned, like to spy on him, or not spy, just to check in on him.
Be like, oh, how they doing,
or whatever. But and then maybe I don't know, that'd be kind of cool.
I can see it. But no, yeah. Let's get back to the rating though.
True.
We've also got enjoyment and genre out of the way.
Did we settle on genre?
Oh, I thought we came to like a 9.75.
Okay, I don't think 9.5. I felt like it did deserve the little bump from. Okay.
All right, I fuck with it.
I like it. Okay.
Do we want to introduce to the people at large our adaptation rating?
Ooh,
we haven't done that yet.
Do we want to do it for here? Because I mean, off of what you said, I think this would be pretty strong here.
It would be extremely strong. The adaptation here was nuts. If you're a comic book fan and you're a fan of Black Panther, you're fucking with this movie. Like, it's the only thing that I continue to be bothered by in the MCU is whenever they introduce something from the comics and they make fun of the name of it because it's comic booky and it's goofy. Like, just let it be the way it is. Like, whenever Shuri was like, I call it the Midnight Angel, and Okoye is like, ha ha ha, that's dumb. Yeah, it's dumb. We don't need to acknowledge that it's dumb. Like, it's comic booky. Like, it happens all the time. I'm Otto Octavius. No, seriously, what's your name? Come on now. His name's Otto Octavius.
You're right.
Leave it. It annoys me every once in a while. I'm like, you are a comic book movie. Let it be. But rant aside, it was still an incredible adaptation. The Midnight Angel stuff was awesome for me. If you read Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Panther, there's a lot of great context that this has provided. Shuri's 10-issue comic run is a really
How was Namor's adaptation?
Very, very original. Very, very movie original. It's I've only read a little bit Namor, but they obviously took him in a completely different direction. Visual wise, they didn't even adapt Atlantis necessarily. They just went a whole new Mesoamerican kind of aesthetic that they were taking it. But generally, the characteristics seem to be lining up pretty well. I think that the Namor from the comics is a little bit more of a disturbed sicko. This guy seems like he has a little bit more good in him than the Namor from the comics. I'd say this adaptation rating would round out to about a 9 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna trust you there because I don't really have the knowledge to make the rating there.
I get you.
So fair enough. But critically, I don't. This is the one I've just been going back and forth on. I don't know where I am. I don't think I can. Okay, well, let's see. Let's just compare to some of the ones that we've covered so far. But I'd say. Yeah. Okay. The floor is like an 8. Floor. And that's I don't know. Is it in the
Yeah,
Is it an 8? Is it just an 8 maybe?
I think it elevates a little bit above an 8.
Okay.
Because I do think this is as emotional a comic book movie I've ever watched. I think it was written incredibly well. The only thing that I think sacrifices quality in this movie is to allude to stuff that happens in the future. I also happen to think that the first act of this movie is surprisingly fast.
It kind of is, yeah.
Yeah, like I thought it was interesting to me that they didn't eulogize T'Challa at all. They had a montage that was his funeral and then beamed him up, and that was it. And I was like, okay, I can be okay with that. The visuals were stunning in that. I felt the moment the way I needed to. I just thought maybe we'd hear a few words said about him, but that's all right.
True. Yeah.
Riri's introduction was a little quick, but I did love the scene that followed it. And then the Val and Ross stuff, I thought we went a little heavy on compared to where we needed to be. So I think that there's way more good than there is bad about this movie. But I do think I end up coming down at around an 8.5.
Yeah, I think 9 was seeming too high. I don't think 9 was fair, but then 8, it seemed fair, but a little low. I think I do like going in the middle there. And if adaptation is into consideration there, that's a 9.1, almost a 9.2 overall for this one, which would slot it into it wouldn't quite make it in Yo What the Fuck, but it would put it in Fuck Yes. Which I think does make sense.
I think it does. I think it does as well
in the grand scheme, because I was looking at the tier list, and I think we do kind of have these top two in sort of order. And I'm thinking,
I think it tops the Fuck Yes for me. It would come close to it anyway, like top few.
Do I like it more than the Guardians movies?
I think I'll need to give it time before I can confidently tell you I like it more than a lot of movies. I think right now I'm super, super high on it, and I think that I don't know how. Like it's just different than a lot of other MCU movies because of the implication of it. Like there's just more to it than there is a lot of other movies. There's more emotion behind it than we've ever really seen out of this era, out of this MCU, but it'll be interesting to see how it ages. So come back in July of 2025 for when we talk about it again.
I think it will remain in Fuck Yes, but I don't think it will keep the 9 average coming back.
Gotcha.
If I had to make a guess, I feel like it'll drop into the 8s, but not far.
Gotcha.
Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it will only maybe just
Aged
remains
good.
the same. I don't know. Like, the only reason I say that is just for recency bias. Maybe like in that time we will see some other holes that the movie necessarily didn't fill,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
get
that
you.
we totally wanted or something. But like as of right now, like
I'm sitting fucking
that's
pretty
where
on
it
this one,
is.
man.
Yeah.
It comes to a 92% on our old
Hmm.
tomato meter here on the Penny Bloom Pod, which
Wow.
is
IMDb as of right. I guess this is, very early. There is 50,000 ratings though still. Given a 7.4. I
bit low.
feel, and that's strictly, I guess, IMDb is very critical. Let's see where Rotten Tomatoes will be interesting to see the audience versus the critical score here. Yeah, so an 84% given by the critical rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and then 95 the audience score right now, which
Okay,
I think
cool.
makes sense because this is a very, I don't know. The thing is if you come off of this movie hating it, it's either because it's how America and France and the world got embarrassed by Wakanda. It's either because you're sexist and you don't like all these females like taking the mantle of the roles. Like there's not much that you can hate about this movie.
I really don't think there is. It's a damn good movie, you know. And I think that if you're walking out of this movie hating it, maybe you have good reasons. Maybe you have something. It's just I certainly can't think of it. I certainly can't think of any reason that you wouldn't like this movie. It's a damn good one.
I mean, shoot, man. Yeah, like Rotten Tomatoes, that one's up pretty well. Like, actually, like because the audience score 95, we gave it a 9.5 enjoyment, so like spot on there. And then critically, they gave it an 84, and we gave it an 8.5 critically.
Yeah, it's kind of
which is kind of nuts
nuts.
there. Like
Yeah, that
it
is a
does
little
round it
crazy.
out. I think the adaptation and genre and enjoyment, like it really helps it out. Round it out to about a 9, like 92. But if you take the average of the Rotten Tomatoes score, it's about a 92.
Oh
So,
yeah.
I mean, we're pretty, I don't know. I guess IMDb is generally known to be a lot more critical. And this is still early on. I guess, this is still very, very early in the ratings, but, wow. The
Yeah,
opening and
no.
closing sequences will make your heart ache, but at 2 hours and 41 minutes, this also is one of the longest films in the MCU, and there are long stretches in it which border on boredom. I was weepy, but also weary.
That's I wouldn't say that's
I,
wrong. I
yeah, I
wouldn't
don't
say
know. I
that's
guess
wrong.
it didn't feel long. Wow. I did not know it was 2 hours and 41 minutes.
Yeah, it's a long one. It's a long movie. And
That's
that's the thing.
nuts.
I did
Wow.
feel the length, but it was because I had a child in front of me making noises.
That would do it. That would definitely do it. Yeah, when you watch it this time, if you have I thought it was 2 hours.
No,
I
yeah,
thought it was about like 2 hours, 2 hours 20 minutes maybe. Like
2 hours and 40 minutes.
that's
That
kind of
movie,
nuts. Almost
very
3 hours.
long run time, super long run time, and it's I did feel it, but I was never bored though. I didn't border on boredom, like that's the part where I don't quite agree. I was glued to the screen, I didn't take myself out except for those parts where we are kind of lingering with Val and Ross a little bit too much. But yeah, man, are we ready to sign out here?
I think so. I think, yeah, I don't really know. There's not really many predictions we can really make, I guess, but it will be interesting because now whenever the next Marvel movie comes out, which is,
Well, Quantumania.
wow, yes, Quantumania, we won't be covering it until about 2025.
We will be covering it
Officially, but
over on
yes, that's right.
patreon.com/CoroBloom. So if you would head over there and lend us $3 a month for all sorts of content, and it super, super duper helps this podcast out. Makes me very, very happy. And only comic book pull lists for you over there, book reviews. If you're a Star Wars fan, I'm reviewing Star Wars books all the time over there. Comic book fans, I know you are. I'm doing pull lists weekly, and if you're a new comic book fan looking for recommendations and stuff, that's where I'd cover all comic books that I'm reading currently. So that'd be good over there. Patreon.com/CoroBloom. That's CoroBloom. If you would, while it's still here, head to Twitter, follow at Penny Bloom Pod, follow on Instagram at Penny Bloom Podcast if you're fucking with me and Joe. We're currently covering Andor, only for a couple more weeks. We only got episode 11 and 12 remaining. We got the 52-year journey through film going on Fridays, and this Friday brings us to 2016's La La Land. Next week we're covering Get Out for 2017. We're coming into a very, very just amazing stretch for the end of the year here for movies we're covering on Fridays. So you got to check those out. I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And always praise Chadwick Boseman.